So, how did we get here? Hello, I am Shay. I am currently studying abroad at the University of Singapore, and it has been, like, I'm gonna sound so dramatic about this entire video. It has been simply the best thing I have ever done in my life, ever. Around this time last year, I was looking on information about studying abroad. There is zilch, there is nothing, and I want to make myself useful and helpful. I get a lot of DMs on the daily being like, oh my god, da-da-da-da-da-da, and I just think it'd be so much easier for literally everybody if I just sat down, made a video explaining everything, answering the frequently asked questions, and anything else I think would have been helpful at the time. I have been able to travel so much during this experience, grow so much during this experience, eat so much, love, learn everything that I would love to impart any wisdom. So I'm gonna be looking down on my map quite a bit, so I've written some notes just so that everything is covered. I'm gonna try and cover as much as I can think of, the who, what, where, why, how, when, and hopefully this will help. Just one person, I'm happy. Cool. Okay, so I'm currently studying at the University of Manchester. I study politics and sociology. And I'm doing a whole year. Most people in Singapore, at least, are doing just one semester, which kind of surprised me. I thought everyone's gonna be in for a year, but no. One semester is kind of the most frequent thing. I'm currently in Sem 1, so everything we're gonna be going and adapting together. So for me, this whole experience is just pass or fail. People who are doing a whole semester, there's actually counts in their transcript. Like whatever grade they get here is gonna be a percentage of the grade they need when they go back. So I'm kind of chilling with my pass-fail year. I quite like it that way. It means I have more room to grow and do other things and like not as much pressure. Obviously, my academic ego cannot bear the thought of failing, but I think it makes things a lot more chill, not feeling on edge. Anytime that an exam or a test comes up, it's a lot nicer. Other things to note about me is that I'm a content creator. I don't know, I don't like that term, I don't like that phrase. It makes me feel like, but I guess it is actually relevant to this entire thing. I'm a content creator. I've done work for all sorts of brands, Levi's, Adobe, Samsung. I like to do creative project management. I have a radio show. I do a lot of work regarding EDI, a lot of stuff. And I think this strong sense of self that I've described now, things I'm passionate about, really helps in the other segments that we'll get onto. Okay, so why? Why did I choose to study abroad? Now, before I even knew I wanted to go to university, I knew that I wanted to study abroad at some point because I didn't take a gap year. A lot of my friends did and they loved it. I never did it because I just didn't really think it would be for me. But I was like, I want to do something in life, like at this age, and I feel like studying abroad is that good middle ground. Not taking yourself out of education, but also doing something on the side. And I feel studying abroad is that perfect middle ground, that middle way. There is pretty much a million reasons why you should study abroad. Why I chose to do it, off the top of my head, I knew I wanted to travel, so that was important where I chose. I knew I wanted to do something that would help with my future, so I don't know what I want to do in the future yet completely, but I know that I want to do something with people, and I think that improving your cultural competency is an invaluable skill that I personally wanted to grow, and I feel like studying abroad allows you to do that because you really immerse yourself into a culture fully. Like, I basically relocated my entire life to live somewhere for a whole year. That is not easy. As I said before, kind of a gap year, not really a gap year. I knew I wanted to grow, and I feel like there was no better way to expand yourself at this kind of age than like moving abroad completely. I love arts and culture. That's one thing about me, and I feel like I've been exposed to so many new arts and cultures. Like every time I go to a new country, I've been able to travel so much here. I go to a museum. That's like the number one thing on my list. I think it's the best way to learn. I can go forever about museums. That's a whole other day. But traveling and studying abroad has allowed me to do that, and that was a very important thing I wrote in my application. Besides that, the module selection at Manchester is quite limited to Western sociology, Western politics. For me, I've been doing that since I was like, I don't know, 16 at that point. I'm kind of bored of it. I want something new, something fresh. And in Singapore, I've been able to choose such a breadth of topics that has been refreshing and so lovely. And also, I feel like I wanted to travel, vlogging that experience, documenting that experience, sharing that experience. That's something that I could really do in Asia. The list could literally go on and on and on and on and on about why I chose to study abroad and why I chose Singapore. But I think having a really strong sense of why and a strong sense of like who you are really helps in how this is able to happen, how your application is going to go forward. It makes things so much easier when it comes to writing because you're not like pulling stuff out thin air, like you have an actual genuine desire. So as I mentioned before, the University of Manchester runs the program, the IEP, and they have a list of countries. Now initially, I was gonna go to South America. Brazilian PR has been doing a number on me. I thought I was gonna be boom cha on a beach in Brazil. However, I didn't speak Portuguese, so that kind of drew out the whole of South America. Like, you can't apply if your university offers the course you want in a language. That left me with, mind you, actually, sorry, pause. There's no Africa options. I don't like that. I would have said she's in Africa. That would have been so cool. Literally anyone in Africa would have been sick. But Europe, for me, it felt too close to home. I can hop on a plane to Europe any time of the day for like £30. And I do already anyway. So I was just like, that's not really what I'm looking for here. America, I don't think this is the time for me to go to America. This is not the time. Australia felt too similar to the UK, but in a warmer environment, and the racism is just a little bit weird over there. And then Asia. I was like, okay, Asia is like everything that I possibly need. I applied to Singapore twice, NUS and NTU. I then applied to Seoul twice, Iwa and the other one, and then I applied to Hong Kong. That was 5 options. For me, that was perfect. Now, for Manchester, you can apply to up to 8 options. I was like, I don't see myself living in somewhere for a whole year in 8 different places. No. I think, honestly, only apply for somewhere that you genuinely have a desire to go. I don't think you should really be applying for the sake of applying, because I think you're going to get to where you're going and not really enjoy it. Plus, there's a lot of money to invest in that you're not fully certain about. And there's no reversal. Like, once you're here, you are literally here. So for me, I was like, okay, Asia, we're going to do that. We're going to limit it to the 5 options. And I think, in my opinion, restricting your options of where you want to be allocated helps with you getting what you want. Now, I got my number 1 first choice. Now, this is why you should listen to me. I got my number 1 choice, and I feel as though, because they were only able to allocate me to 5 places rather than 8, it made it easier for them to give me my number 1. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you say you're open to more places, that makes it a bit tougher for the allocation. They might be like, okay, we'll give her number 7th choice. But I put 5, shortening the pool, shortening the options they could pick me for. That was my kind of manipulation maths. Whether that's actually accurate, I don't know. And then as for Singapore, as I mentioned, out of Asia, I personally like Singapore because it was English speaking. I'm not gonna lie. It is good to learn a very new language, don't get me wrong. However, languages are just not my forte, and I know that about myself. So somewhere where I didn't feel like learning language was necessary, I was like, okay, like that would be quite nice. And also I feel like Singapore is that good middle ground of like, I wanted to coach shock, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't going to be too shocking. I'm not gonna lie, some parts of Singapore feel like back home, and that is a nice middle way into moving abroad. Like, it's a nice introduction. It's not too like, oh my god, what's going on, but it's still like enough that you're like, okay, I'm in a new place. Food in Singapore is amazing. Get me start talking about hawker centre, I could talk about it forever. Travel options, again, amazing. Like, you're in Southeast Asia, you can go literally anywhere for not too expensive. And that's just kind of a short bit of my list of why I wanted to go to Singapore. And the University of Manchester runs a program. It's called the International Exchange Program, the IEP. Now, a lot of people that I've met who are studying abroad, they are from a range of countries, obviously. But for the UK, because obviously I'm British, I met people from Leeds, Sheffield, LSE, Warwick, Bath, Loughborough, Edinburgh. I think that's it. You have some other people from other places, but that's the ones I've been meeting the most regularly, the most frequently. Not every university does offer a study abroad program. That's something to know. I got mine through my university. Some people did it through other programs like the CIE. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not versed with that, but I know it's another way to do a study abroad. But most people do it through their university that already partners with other universities. Doing it that way makes it so much easier. The university acts as a middleman, and I think it's been quite a seamless process in terms of getting the offer. Actually being here, that's a whole other thing. Okay, now for the application. Now, before I even get to the application, you need to make sure your academics are top tier. UAM Manchester, they only let you apply or put you for consideration if your grades, you're working above 60%. If you're below that, you're instantly getting chucked out. And I think that is good because you want the confidence that you are going to be able to academically survive anywhere that you go. So the higher your grade, obviously, the higher it helps you in getting where you want to go. Because I heard that when I'm asking around that UAM, the way they do it is that they rank everybody based on their academics and based on the application. And then from there, they start slotting and giving it to who. So let's say person A's grades are 50%, but the application is amazing. They're not getting considered. Person B, their grades are 65% and the application is good. Person C, their grades are, let's say, 73% and the application is amazing. And they're both applying for the same place, let's say Singapore. Person C is going to become above person B. You understand what I'm saying? Academics matter as much as the application. It's going to boost up the possibility of getting where you want to actually go. And that's why I literally roll my eyes when people say that first year doesn't count. If you are considering studying abroad, if you are considering a placement year, first year counts so much for you because you can't go back and undo that. Once that grade of first year is there, it's there. And the grades monitor and they do count, because like even second year, you'll get an email being like, oh, your grade's still on track. And the better the grade, the more likely you are to end up where you're going to be. Okay, so for the University of Manchester, you've got to answer a plethora of questions. Now, you put your top 8, and from your top 8, the top 3, you answer these very specific questions. And then alongside that, you've got to write like your budget for everything, how you're going to fund everything, yada, 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 yada. Financial plan, I think, is kind of like the most awkward bit, because you actually have no idea. But I think as long as you show that you've actually thought about, you know, accommodation, transportation, food, like, is your place got catered, is it not, is the bus reliable, is it not, how much is the bus going to be, basic things like that, just showing that you've actually taken time to research. Some people do use ChatGPT. Personally, I like it. I didn't like it. I was just like, I'm gonna just Google it, like, hello. But if you're lazy, go for it. I mean, if you're lazy, it's gonna reflect. That's what I think. Like, as much effort you put into this, as much effort you're gonna get out. So take that into consideration. And then my tips for applying are as follows. Make the application as personal to you as possible. What are your motivations? Now, for me, mine were the idea that arts and culture is the bedrock of my application. Like, that is quintessentially who I am as a person. Like, arts and culture has made me who I am today, and it's gonna make me who I am in the future. Like, I grew up in the theatre, and I really put that into my application about how that has really influenced me. I wanna go to Asia. I wanna learn about different ways of art and culture. As before, every country I'm in, we're going to a gallery, we're going to a museum, showing that my application, that personal strong interest, making it unique, making it stand out of other people. My friend before, who has gone to Amsterdam, she's a national swimmer, she wrote about that in her application, and it makes you stand out unique. My other friend, she's a DJ, a very good one at that, runs loads of events, and she was like, the nightlife scene in Amsterdam is one of a kind, unique. Loads of DJs are coming up from Amsterdam. I want to get to Amsterdam not only to improve my academics, but also improve the other things that make you who you are. What makes you, you. That's why I said sense of self is so important. Alongside that, you've got to think about why this country. They can send you anywhere. Why should you be in this specific country? Why is Singapore the country for me? Now, for me personally, alongside the whole like arts and culture, so I want to like actually do the program, I was like, Singapore is amazing in terms of fintech. Like, it's developing so rapidly. It's so interesting. I want to be immersed. I want to be in that space. I also speak about how Singapore is a very multicultural society. Obviously, me being a sociologist and doing politics, that is so unique. Singapore is unique in that sense. So writing about that, I think, definitely helped in my application. Yes, you might want to go on a year-long holiday, a year-long travel, a year-long escape, but that's just not going to cut it in that application. So think about it very, very wisely, like what you actually want to be in that country. Other general tips and tricks are use social media like you've never used before. It is so easy, also kind of creepy, to find people on social media, as in so easy. Go and message them, go and ask literally anybody and anybody who could be of any use for you. For me, my personal favorite was LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn Dan. People are saying that, oh, they're scared of LinkedIn, oh, Get over that fear with haste. I would type in my university and the university I wanted to go to, and I would message everybody and connect with anybody I possibly could so they could help me and give me personalized information and help. I think people who've done this program, they want to help you. We've all been in that same boat of like being lost, being stuck, and they've actually lived the experience. ChatGPT cannot give you the answers that you need in such depth and with such care. So especially people on LinkedIn, so important. I'd recommend that. TikTok, look on hashtags, literally anything. People have done this and they have documented it. Go find it. Thirdly, Reddit. Any question you possibly have regarding to study abroad, the Reddit thread of that thing already is so long. Type in your question, pop in the word Reddit at the end. A whole thread will come up that will be so useful and so helpful. And obviously, visual platforms like TikTok and YouTube, you can see things like in 4K. You can see what's actually going on. But ultimately, stop being lazy, stop using ChatGPT, get out there and talk to someone with some real life experience. It will strengthen your application. I think it's gonna make it a lot more authentic and real and also accurate. And then also, you're not gonna be in for like a surprise and a shock when you get here under a different guise, under a different premise, because you've actually spoken to someone who's actually done it and lived that experience. Okay, this next segment relates more to Singapore, but I think if you're studying abroad just generally, it will be helpful still. Budget. What kind of money is a girl spending out here? The money ain't funny. I think first thing to note is that you still do get SFE if you are doing a study abroad program. SFE covers the tuition. As for maintenance, you do get a little bit more depending on where you're going. I'm gonna lie, SFE in this country, we all know, barely covers anything. Your budget, obviously, person to person does vary. I'm gonna say I am spending £600 a month. That is not my budget. These things can be done cheaper, but I think obviously things to note is that when you're moving to a new country, there's so much stuff that you need to buy when you first land. Like the first, I'm not gonna lie, month, you're gonna be spending crazy dumb money because you're gonna be making mistakes, buying things that you don't need to buy, buying things you need to buy. Oh my God, you bought the wrong thing, buying this thing again. Not knowing the cheap places to actually go to buy things. Yeah, it's gonna be cash loss. I think if you don't have a job over summer, get a job over summer between your second year and your study abroad year, because that money, you can never have enough money. Get a shift, get a part-time job, do what you can, do what you need to do. I think it's also important to note that there are things to help you. There are grants and stuff. The most popular, obviously, is the touring scheme. The majority of my money is going towards Grabs. Getting around Singapore is great, it's cool, it's chilled, MRT is efficient, it's clean. However, there is no MRT stop actually close to the university. Getting from NUS to downtown to MBS is an hour journey. That's kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. So the Grab is adding up. It's adding up. There and back, she's adding up. She's doing a hefty little number. I need to work on that. I'm gonna work on that because it's not sustainable, as I've been saying. Everybody was like, oh my God, Singapore's such a small country, it's tiny. It's a small country, it's a big city. Note that, note that, note that. So the Grabs do add up. The thing to spend my money on as well is food and experiences. I'm just a girl with an expensive taste, I fear. I fear that's what the case is. I want to go have a cocktail at the top of Marina Bay Sands. When else am I going to be young, lit and sexy in Singapore? Never. So go have that cocktail, girl. Go have that dinner. But that mindset, This is not including my rent or my travel. Those two things, obviously, another massive expenditure. So for accommodation, I am paying less than what I would pay in Manchester for accommodation, which to me is great. The government in Singapore subsidises accommodation on campus for students. I live on campus, and I probably would recommend, if you are going to NUS, to live on campus, because obviously this is Singapore. Housing is crazy. It's insane. Housing on campus is obviously a lot cheaper. It's a lot more convenient, but I do know it's very high in demand. So when they open the application, apply for accommodation. I'm staying in a catered accommodation in Newtown, so I'm not meant to be spending that much money on food. However, I personally hate the food they serve. I don't like it, and a girl's not gonna starve, so I do eat out, and there is a lot of options on campus to eat out at that are actually quite tasty. I'd say you can get yourself a very, very, very good meal for $7 less. I think the most you pay for a meal is $7, $7.40 maybe. Drinks, again, $3. It is a very, very good value for money. And of course, being on campus means that it's easy to make friends, especially from catered, because you gotta sit with someone every day for dinner. Getting to class is really easy. There's a bus from Newtown to all the lectures are, which is very, very lovely, very, very nice. Only thing I've already mentioned is that getting to town is a drag. They need to pop an MRT station. Singaporean government, let's listen, let's talk. You need to pop an MRT station in Newtown. Let's get things going. Imagine, there's 40k students who live in Newtown, I think. Shillings back and forth. That's gonna be great for your economy. Let me help you. Let's work on a little something. But for NUS, accommodation's pretty nice. It's pretty decent. It's pretty cute. It's very chic. Shared toilets are really major. No shared rooms though, which for me is a godsend. I know a lot of my friends who are in Asia. I have my best friend, she's in Seoul. Other best friend, she's in Hong Kong. They are sharing a room. They do have roommates. I want to do a little sit-down interview with my friends and get them all to come, because I have friends who are all over the globe, Amsterdam, Canada, US, Europe, and their experiences of studying abroad. They have roommates. Obviously, if you're British, roommates aren't common for us, as in a roommate, not a housemate, a flatmate, no. Bed here, bed there. Those aren't common for us. They said that their roommates have been pretty good. They've been pretty nice. I think often what they do tend to do for exchange students is put other exchange with other exchange students, because it's kind of a bit more compatible in that sense. So that's been good. They've had no horror stories, but obviously these things do vary. That was obviously very, very NUS specific. NTU, not sure about their accommodation search. SMU, baby, you guys have a hard time having to find your own accommodation, but I guess it works because your university is right in the center of town, so it's that kind of good payoff. Okay, so travel, that for me was really, really up there. As I said before, it's one of the main reasons I actually chose Singapore, and I like to live a soft life. I like to live a chic life. I'm a soft life babe. So for me, travel has not been that cheap. Some people will slum it in a hostel. I know who I am. I know whose daughter this is. I'm not a hostel babe. If you can, do it. do it. Your money will go so much farther. It will go so far. It's just not me. It's not me. So far, I've been to Batam, which is in Indonesia. I've been to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I've been to Shanghai in China. I've been to Hong Kong. And currently, I'm actually in the Philippines. I'm filming from the Philippines. I'm in Cebu right now. And it's been amazing. It's been phenomenal. The travel opportunities in Singapore are great. You can go anywhere. I have been going to Australia as well. That's another really easy one. To have the whole of Asia at your fingertips and to have the whole of Australia, you can't get any better than that. As for trips, I get asked a lot how much I'm spending per trip. As I said before, I'm not slumming it out. My most expensive trip has been Shanghai. My cheapest trip was, I think, Batam. I am spending quite different amounts. Obviously, Batam is so much closer to Singapore. It was a fair ride away. Shanghai is right up there. Like, that's a good flight away. So Shanghai, I was there for ages. I got stranded in Shanghai, so I spent kind of a lot more money than I was intending to. But I do think as though, obviously, Asia is, if you're coming from, like, Europe, is significantly cheaper. Like, the pound is... Right now, and I hope when you're watching this, it's strong. Like, your money will go far. You can get quite good deals. Also, another thing I've noticed as well with Asia and traveling, I'm in the Philippines right now. Excursions are so cheap. Like, I've done so many different activities here that I think if this was in Europe, they would charge times 10, which is foul. Again, food is pretty cheap out here. I think it's just the getting to where you want to go when you're traveling is the most expensive bit, and then accommodation, that's fully in your hands. I think the only thing is, as an exchange student, is you're not booking your trips that in advance. I'm sure obviously the more in advance you book a flight, the cheaper it's going to be, but obviously you're making friends. You don't want to jump and book a trip with people that you don't really know. Well, I didn't anyways, personally. So that's the thing. The trips are very last minute, which means they're kind of a bit more expensive, but it's just part and parcel of the game, isn't it, love? But yeah, all really cheap. I want to do like a whole like travel review. I would love to do a travel review. I've been so many cool places and I have so many cool places I want to go to still. But that would be a whole conversation for another day. Maybe we can look at a little roundup of everything. Everything is just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. That's why I would really say, if you can, get a job. Go save your money. Be mindful how you're spending your money, because once you get here, you will not want to say no to a single trip. And even then, you can't even do everything you want to do. So be smart with your money. Okay, nightlife. Now, I've asked this question quite a lot, and I don't know what gives people the impression that I would know anything about nightlife. Like, I'm a homebody, school and home, that's all it is. I think that was not very convincing at all. I know 1 or 2 things about nightlife, don't get me wrong. Now, let me say something. Singapore, we have established, she is an expensive babe, and nightlife here is not cheap either. I think something to note is that the MRT shuts by 12. Some stops 10:30. A night is starting at 10:30. A night starting at 12, in my opinion. The night starts late. The MRT closes early. You're getting some money on grabs, getting to and from wherever you are back home. That racks up. Obviously, splitting between friends helps, but I don't know, getting money back from people is kind of difficult as an exchange student. Not everyone has a bank that you can transfer to. I would say, another financial tip, get yourself a Revolut, Starling or Monzo card, please. It only makes sense. Those like neobanks, they're so good if you're traveling around. If you have any currency, and it's so good. And also a lot of people have them, so sending money between those is so much easier. A lot of people also use Wise. I don't personally like Wise that much because I have a Starling and Revolut card. Like, it's just inconvenient to add another one to the mix. Alongside that, get these other like apps like Splitwise and what's it called? I think it's called like Trio, so another like money tracking app to split money between friends. It is so good. Back to nightlife, right? If you are going for dinner, alcohol costs as much, if not more, than the food you're actually eating, which is not chic and not cute. The most annoying thing, I think, for me personally, is that for NUS anyways, and I'm sure it's the same for NTU and SMU, alcohol cannot be consumed on campus. Therefore, prees are non-existent. And I live for a good prees. And you can't do that around here. Otherwise, you are risking being expelled. Make it. And that means obviously having a lot more minute alcohol than you'd like to. Obviously, it's more expensive to drink out than to drink in. Nights out can be done cheaply. Clark Quay and Boat Quay are going to be your good friends if you're looking for a good, cheap night out. The alcohol there is crazy cheap, and it is busy and it is bustling. And I think from exchange student arriving and being there is quite nice. It's very full of exchange students. That does settle down as time goes on, but that's kind of natural. The only thing with that place is that the alcohol never gets me drunk. I think they water it down severely. It doesn't taste good like nice liquor. Like, it's just not that. If you're looking for a premium experience, it's not there. If you're looking for a cheap experience, that is there. Another thing is get familiar with ladies' night. If you're a girl, let the patriarchy work in your favor. There's a thing called ladies' night in Singapore whereby girls get free entry to clubs and free drinks sometimes for some clubs, and that is really, 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 really good. Helps you have a lot of money because your night out is pretty much free. There are so many good places in Singapore that do a good ladies' night as well. So use that and make it work for you, sweetie. I think the other thing is when you go out, talk to people, mingle with people, make local friends. That's not just for nightlife thing, it's for everything kind of thing. Make local friends. The recommendations they will give you, I give good recommendations. A lot of them come from my local friends, I'm not gonna lie. They put me on game. Therefore, get out and talk to people. I remember one night that I arrived, me and my family went to a bar and we asked the worker there, like, oh, where else is good to go around this place? They gave me a whole notes app of different bars in Singapore to hit up, prices, what days they were open, what's good, what their specialties are. If you don't speak up, if you don't speak out, if you never knock, you will never, ever, 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 ever know. So get out there, and when you get out there, make new friends and try. For the love of God, exchange students, please try and make friends with people who aren't just other exchanges. You are robbing yourself of a very, very good experience. Schooling. Somebody asked me, is school in Singapore as hard as they make it out to seem? The answer is a strong yes. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I am doing more work out here than I do back home. And I'm pass or fail. Luckily for me, one thing about me in this life is that I will only study things that I know that I'm going to enjoy. So I'm studying topics that I am personally actually interested in learning that doesn't feel like a chore when I'm going to university. That is like the only thing you can really, really do. I'm studying sociology this semester. I am studying the politics of Singapore, Singaporean society, and I'm also doing politics and film. I love all these modules, so when I go, it's not feeling like a drag. But the work is a lot. I think the work is a lot because A, there's a lot of group work. Every single module that I have has group work. I have got my entire academic career in the UK avoiding group work. Now that I'm here, group work is part and parcel. I don't know a single person who is not doing group work. Get ready and get used to it, boy, because they will put you through a lot of group work. I think here, though, it's good because the locals are ready to work. Like, they're ready to actually work. Therefore, the exchange students have no choice but to actually pull their weight. If you have a good group, it makes things so much easier. And I think most locals are pretty on it. Like, they want to get their stuff sorted out too. So that is good. Attendance is one thing about schooling that I think is good here. It counts in your favor. Attendance for most of my modules is like 20%, which is a very easy thing to bag. However, if you are an exchange student, you know, that Friday lecture might not be seeing you because the weekend's coming up and you're trying to go to Indonesia real quick. Do you know what I mean? So that has a pro and it is a con at the same time. Schooling, they do have kind of a weird system for modules and tutorials. Usually in the UK, you are just given a tutorial, like whatever you get given is what you get given. Here, you have to bid for them, which is a whole new experience, but it is explained pretty well. And I can do like a whole other video on like actually schooling in Singapore and things to know. But I think for now, just know that it is very much first come, first serve for what modules you take. You can appeal them. You can't take fourth year modules, which is kind of annoying. People like to make their lives easier as an exchange and pick first year, second year modules. I would recommend that if the reason you're coming for exchange isn't to learn that much, because obviously it's so much easier. But then for me, I had to submit a learning agreement to the University of Manchester and we had to agree on what modules I was going to take. Therefore, I couldn't piss about and take anything. I also know that for a lot of people that the modules they can take a lot more outside of what they actually study back home. So next semester, I'm doing a lot more PR and communications modules because that's what I want to go into in the future. I have a friend who, she does chemistry. She's doing languages, maths and sociology. It's nice. I think if you're trying to do a study abroad, it gives you a lot more academic liberty. You can pretty much do anything and everything, which is lovely. I don't think the modules are difficult per se. I just don't think I know what they're talking about, because I'm not Singaporean. For instance, in my Singaporean sociology module and my Singaporean politics module, they are taught in a way where it's expected that you know about Singaporean politics. It's not beginner friendly, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of taught in a way, it's where if I was back home, I know who the last 10 prime ministers have been because I know British politics. I have conversations with my family around the dinner table. I know what's going on. I know what's being said. And I think it's kind of taught in that same, it's a basic for a Singaporean. For intention, you have to put in the graft and actually do a bit of history and a bit of backlog learning to kind of catch up with a local student who actually knows everything. But
that being said, it's not impossible. It is still doable, and it is still really fun and exciting. And I think part of the reason that I chose to study abroad was to learn new things I've never learned before. So that's been nice.
And lastly, the last thing I want to address is being a black woman in Singapore. Being a black woman in Singapore. Now, for me, I have found it to be a non-issue. I think 2 issues, and these are very superficial issues for me. Learn how to braid your hair. If you are a black woman, you don't braid your hair, learn yesterday. Learn yesterday. I am still hunting for a braider, and my braids are expired. I'm worried, I'm scared. I do not know what I'm gonna do. I need to start thinking, I need to start cooking. Learn. And I thought I'd get by, because I can't braid at all, right? I was like, oh yeah, once I get here, something will work out. No. Nothing has worked out. Lots of black girlfriends here as well. Somehow, none of us can braid. It's very silly. It's very, very silly. Second thing, stock up on your makeup. The shade ranges here are kind of poo. Like, the range is very limited. There's nothing to pick from. Like, even though Singapore's very multicultural and very diverse, their ranges do not reflect that. I don't know what like our dark-skinned Indian sisters are doing, because there's nothing really out there for them, or maybe that I found. So I remember buying like 3 of each makeup product. Your hair products, buy plenty. Everything that you think is important to you as a black woman, buy lots of it, because you can't get enough. Do you know what I mean? I'd say for racial encounters, Singapore is a very multicultural and diverse place. It's also very cosmopolitan and metropolitan. Like, people are used to seeing black people, so like it's not like that kind of like parts of Asia where people are shocked and they're like, oh my god, black person. No, it's not that at all. I have had a couple of experiences, like when I was on the MRT, some lady, I was sat next to her, right? She gets her phone and she's trying to do up a little selfie, but she's pointing it towards me. I look dead in that camera. Like, what are you doing? Because I think Singapore, like, it's not that place. Like, you know better. We all know better. That was like my only thing. And since then, I've not had anything else. No hair touching, no racial slurs. But this is obviously my experience. I have another friend who went to Singapore a year before. She said that for her, a lot of people like to use the N-word, not knowing the meaning of it, which at this point, I'm now by that. But people like to do that. In my case, that's not been an issue for me, but obviously everything varies person to person. People have been very friendly, very open. Singaporeans have really been very welcoming to me, so I'm very, very grateful and very, very happy. It's been a very lovely experience. It's been a very, very good place, and I'm a big believer that, like, obviously race is a factor to consider, but your race should not stop you from living life experiences. I think it's quite sad. People have been like, oh, why would you want to go to Singapore as a black woman? Why would you want to go to Asia as a black woman? Guys, I've got to see this world. I've got to see this life. There is so much to see, and I think it would be an injustice to myself if I let my race get in the way to that extent. So that is my all-encompassing review, tips and tricks on how to study abroad, what to do, how to be successful as someone who got that first choice, and I hope that helps. This is my Instagram if you have more questions. This is my email if you have more questions. My TikTok has loads of reviews of things I've done whilst I've been out in Singapore, and just a little like snippets of things to consider and factor in. I hope you've enjoyed, and you should like and subscribe and keep up with the journey, because obviously vlogs of Singapore are coming up, more exchange devices also coming up. So if you enjoyed, you know what to do, and I will see you in the next one and in the next place, wherever I end up. For now, I'm gonna enjoy the Philippines. Ciao for now.